So a while back, my friend Michael from MNJ TV covered one of my theories on what came before Arceus. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. But no worries, I'm going to be covering many of the topics talked about in that video here as well. Today I want to expand more on that theory and try to analyze and comprehend how the world of Pokemon really came into existence. But more importantly, I'm trying to answer the question, who came first, Pokemon or humans? While the answer might be obvious to some of you now, wait to hear the rest of the info. There has been a ton of videos done on the creation of the Pokemon world. Some have proposed very interesting theories as to the chronology of the events. Many don't include humans, others involve other Pokemon not part of the myth, and the list goes on and on. I'm sure that at one point you guys have watched a video that touches this topic. There is something that caught my attention though. Many posts start off similarly and state that in the beginning there was nothing, but all of a sudden an egg appeared. From this egg, Arceus emerged and shaped the universe. But if we take a deeper look, we will learn that there is actually text within the games that contradicts this notion that there was nothing before Arceus. But first we need to clarify why many believe that there was indeed nothing before Arceus, and for that we have to thank many of Arceus' Pokedex entries. Starting from Pokemon Platinum, quote, "It is said to have emerged from an egg in a place where there was nothing, then shaped the world." This is the same Pokedex entry used in both Pokemon Black and White plus Pokemon Black and White 2. Other text entries state that this Pokemon was born before the universe even existed, such as its Alpha Sapphire Pokedex entry. Quote, "It is told in mythology that this Pokemon was born before the universe even existed." End quote. So, are fans wrong for saying that in the beginning there was nothing? Of course not. However, that is only half the story because the Pokedex has been known to contradict itself many times, and some would even argue that the information in there is not always 100% accurate. Let's just take a look at everyone's number one Pokemon in their top 10 list, Magikarp. According to one of its many Pokedex entries, a Magikarp living for many years can leap a mountain using Splash. The move remains useless though. Okay, that is pretty amazing for a fish. Yet there is another Pokedex entry that states the following, quote, "An underpowered, pathetic Pokemon. It may jump high on rare occasions, but never more than 7 feet. Unless they have 7 feet mountains in the Pokemon world, there seems to be something wrong here." So now that you know that there are inconsistencies in the Pokedex, let's go back to answer the question, who came first, Pokemon or humans? Since Arceus is classified as a Pokemon, many would say, yeah, Obi, try again, this is an obvious one. There is no mention of who came first in Pokemon mythology. The Sinnoh myth states that after Arceus was born, it created Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, and I'm sure that you guys know the rest of the story. Now I'm going to be taking excerpts from a number of Sinnoh myths, and if you want to get a better understanding, you should read them first if you haven't. This video will get too long if I read all of them to you, so just search for Sinnoh myths in Bulbapedia. I can wait here. Okay, let's move on. Evidence number 1. Quote, "In the beginning there was only a churning turmoil of chaos. At the heart of the chaos, where all things became one, appeared an egg." So it is very important to pay attention to the words that they decided to use. A churning turmoil of chaos. But what does that mean? Well, let me tell you, it sure doesn't mean nothing. All these fancy words are simply stating that there was a state of confusion or a giant mess in the very beginning. But a mess of what? Well, since the Sinnoh myths are not really in any particular order, it is hard to see it at first, but I have come to believe that the giant mess is found in another piece of text that states the following. Quote, "There were once humans and Pokemon that ate together at the same table. It was a time when there existed no differences to distinguish the two." End quote. Yes, many of us already have come to the conclusion that Pokemon and humans are related somehow. There are many examples throughout the lifespan of the franchise where humans turn into Pokemon and vice versa. I'm not going to go through all the examples, but just in case you still don't know what I'm talking about, just read some of Yama's Pokedex entries. The reason I claim that this idea of a time when Pokemon and people were the same is chaotic extracted from what a hiker found in Canalab City states about the creation of the Pokemon world there's a lot to it, so let's break it down. Quote, "The way I see it, our world began when the spirit within people was born. When that spirit came to be, there followed awareness about the world." End quote. So what this means is that before Arceus, there was some sort of entity, or better yet, I believe a form of energy that had no awareness. Somehow it was able to develop a human spirit, and from there creation started. Let's take a look at the next line. Quote, "Within the newborn spirit, time and space were intertwined as one. People and Pokemon too were but the same presence." End quote. These couple of sentences are very interesting and critical. This newborn spirit, I believe, belongs to Arceus, and it was both a combination of people and Pokemon. Now, I don't want to lose you, but picture this giant mess. Here you have a quote-unquote spirit world where humans and Pokemon were the same and were constantly changing forms from one to the other. Time and space were intertwined as one. There was no order. When this entity or energy gained awareness, it all collapsed into a single point and manifested physically as an egg. This is reinforced by evidence number 1, which states, "At the heart of the chaos, where all things became one, appeared an egg." End quote. Arceus came into being, and right away he started implementing order by first separating time from space and antimatter. Later he created the Lake Trio, and you know the rest of the story. It also created and separated humans from Pokemon to avoid the previous chaos. This is reinforced by another myth that states, quote, "Long ago, when Sinnoh had just been made, Pokemon and humans led separate lives." End quote. So to answer the original question of who came first, we can agree that physically Pokemon came into being first, but if it wasn't for the human spirit that was born before Arceus manifested physically, nothing would have existed. So I'll leave it up to you to figure out which one outweighs the other. One big question arises from all of this though. If there was once an entity or energy that had no awareness, where did the human spirit come from, and why was it simply born? Well, I like to believe that the human spirit was born the day a young boy named Satoshi fell in love with collecting bugs. Well, there you have it, Pokemon fans. I know that was a lot to take in, and I hope I was clear enough to present my idea. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and of course, if you found any errors, don't forget to share those as well. Now, I do want to keep continuing with this theory. There's another part where I want to talk about that energy that was in the beginning, and I'm sure you already know where I'm going with this, infinity energy. But that would be left for another video. I won't be taking any more of your time, so thank you so much for watching, and until next time, Pokemon fans,